Testing. Let's see if everything is working. I am burning the midnight oil tonight. Can't be helped. Let's see. Okay, it looks like we're on. Here we go. So we have today is July 9th, 2025, and this is day 1,802 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room on Fort Bliss and his life was taken from him. And it had happened because he was a whistleblower. He would not give in to their cartel criminal trafficking activities. Matter of fact, he reported them. He became, because he's a U.S. Army soldier, reporting that kind of crime. It designated him as a whistleblower, and then under law, they had to protect him, but they didn't do that. They targeted him. They targeted him. All the evidence that we have given and have, we found the crimes, we documented the crimes, we filed the crimes, and we reported on the crimes. And so absolutely he was targeted for whistleblowing by the very individuals that were supposed to be giving him whistleblower protection. And his life was taken from him, and then they targeted him some more even after they took his life. So that was before and during and after, and then even to our family, they targeted our family. So this is huge crimes, and we are absolutely focused on getting his remains. He has been designated murdered in the line of duty on Fort Bliss. That is very clear. To get that designation, we are very grateful for that. That came on January 24th, 2025. Killed in the line of duty on Fort Bliss, but that on top of all the other paperwork that we have corroborates that he was murdered in the line of duty on Fort Bliss. And the prime suspects are Leilani Hart, who has another alias. She's constantly changing her name. I've been putting that up there. And she's the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. And they have a family member that was working at Fort Bliss CID, the Criminal Investigative Division, which is like FBI, on Fort Bliss. But he lost his badge. He had his badge terminated in 2021, Tavita Nusa. And Tavita Nusa's brother, Solomone Nusa, is mortuary affairs, not just any mortuary affairs. He is like the logistics for mortuary affairs. And I put that up. I think I put that up there. His CV. It's really shocking. So he would absolutely be able to have Richard's remains moved around. That's what that means. To have, in the military, to sign off on having remains moved around. And that is, and Tavita Nusa has surgical skills. He's trained in surgical skills. So, and we know that there is evidence that that they dismembered Richard, and that partial remains were taken over to Juarez. And because Purchase Funeral Homes is involved in this with other funeral homes, because mortuary affairs is part of this, because the fraud of cashing in on death benefits and disability benefits, and also through U.S. aid funding for any migrants. When you have millions of migrants coming through, hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked, some of them don't make it, right? And a lot of them don't make it. And those funds, especially when you're traveling, migrating with criminals and people coming out of psychological problematic institutions, right? When you have severe mental health conditions, um, and you're traveling with uh, criminals and that, then there's a lot of loss of life, a lot of loss of life. And that's why these hundreds of thousands of children, they just can't find them all, because there's a lot of loss of life. Um, and what do you do with the remains, right? What do you do with the remains? Well, and these despicable people, the evidence points to cashing in on these remains to the full extent. I mean, really fraudulently. Um, and what do I mean by that? Well, to send them over to Juarez without any kind of forensic examination. That's what is um, being talked about right now. Demanding in this uh, mass dumping ground of rotting bodies that were piled on top of each other in Juarez, Mexico. That's the state of Chihuahua, Mexico, and it's clear evidence from what they found that these were seemingly tortured, many of them tortured and murdered, and that no forensics has been done on these bodies, and that the number of bodies has now gone. We don't have exact numbers, but they're almost up to 1,000, 400 to 1,000, and our information that we're getting is it's closer to 1,000 bodies now. Remember, the news reported 383. It's closer to 1,000 now. This is huge, huge human rights violations with this, and the demand. I know it's really difficult, day in and day out to talk about this, because especially, um, you know, there was no vetting, or, the forensic review of these individuals, and there is absolutely appears to be torture and violent death, and um, so the demand is for, they only have identified 6 of these remains, um, reports say, and so there's demands that uh, there needs to be a forensic um, review on all of these, and there's partial remains, that there needs to be a forensic review. The problem for us is that we've gotten word back that the AG, the Attorney General's office there in Chihuahua, tampered with our son's case, and even got rid of the DNA that Robert, our eldest son, flew in there to give. Um, and, so do they have the dental records? Do they have the DNA? What have they done with it? There's such a cover up with our son's case. If some of those partial remains, or if some of those remains, if they Um, yeah, how are they going to identify it if there is internal obstruction and tampering with the information that we've given? So, and we're not the only family, are we? I think there was over a thousand family members demanding answers to what happened to their loved ones. And so, so there that there is way more than 400 bodies, and so the demand for forensic review is coming from government officials, those that do have authority. So and we know that there are a lot that are compromised. There are a lot that are compromised with the cartel in Mexico. That's why, uh, there's not a trust. The trust has really been broken in Mexico. But there are those that love their country in Mexico, just like in the United States, that are fighting for the rule of law, for decency, for forensic review of each and every one of these bodies that were left there to decompose. Um, and of course, they were saying that some of these bodies were there for 4 years. Um, where are the investigators? Where's the oversight, right? All of that should have constant investigation or um, inspections. Where are the inspections of this place? 4 years, no inspections. And then to have Purchase Funeral Homes absolutely implicated in this, and their only lawyer is Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks, that connects it to the United States. And Purchase is very big. Purchase handles a lot of bodies. I think exclusively gets contracts. We'll see. We'll see. But uh, what we're hearing is, uh, ex- you know, Mario Raskin Ortiz, the medical examiner, favors Purchase, favors them a lot for the contracts of the removals of um, of bodies, of remains. So we'll see. But for Mario Raskin Ortiz of course, he's involved in this, to get all of this money and no forensic review of these bodies, if any of them are American and they don't have a forensic review, or that's just and he gets paid 511 uh 500 and over 500% over the average wage of anybody. I mean, is $500,000 a year not enough for him? I mean, because that's where it is. It's just about at 500,000, $500,000 a year, and we don't even get the forensic reviews, or we don't get accurate forensic reviews, or we get tampered with death certificates. Um, very sloppy. And this is Texas Tech University Health Science Center, okay? Because Mario Raskin Ortiz is absolutely connected to Texas Tech University Health Science Center, along with Melissa Mendez, who, works along with Patrick Crucius, the mass shooter for the Walmart mass shooting, sister-in-law, Alexis Mayella, but and also connected to George Toros. George Toros is the husband. Torres is the husband of Melissa Mendez in the FBI. In the FBI. So, they're all connected. It sounds convoluted or confusing. What you need to know is that they're all connected. They all have like uh, wives and husbands and, you know, cousins and you know, because this whole thing with 3905 Bliss Avenue and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and Danae Katzen is connected to Mario Raskin Ortiz. And then he's connected to uh, Veronica Escobar, brought him over, and he lied on his application for his visa, right? So he's illegally in the country, right? And he had absolutely no qualifications then to even get that job, to get the job for the $500,000. It's such a racket, and of course they're connected together because it wouldn't happen otherwise. It just wouldn't happen. They're just all this cartel, criminal trafficking group. Nexus is a good word. Um, that uh, with narco politicians, and that include the military, that include narco um, generals. Narco generals, absolutely. Narco General Sean Bernabe, Narco General um, um, Garrett, right? Michael Garrett. Uh, so very clearly they're up to no good, and they've caused a lot of death. And then they tried to profit off of the death. They caused the death. Um, and, you know, Bill Hicks being part of Purchase, right? Um, was appointed by Governor Abbott. And so Governor Abbott is implicated in this. So this is, a big deal because he's like one of the most important people, most powerful positions in the United States. I think he's like number four, as far as a governor goes, um, which is very, very powerful. And if he wanted to stop all this criminal trafficking, he absolutely had the power to do it, and he didn't. And he didn't. And there's, a lot of talk about the flooding, because Texas has so much power. Where is like the Homeland Security for Texas? They have their own kind of little Homeland Security. Where is that right now? That whole flood. Of course, I trust my dream because I know I had it, and it's still very vivid today in my dream. Absolutely um, pointed out that dam, at Camp Mystic. And if you haven't been keeping up with the news, there was a huge flood, 42 feet surge in 1 to 3 hours in Kerr County, Texas, that has now killed, I think it's over 104 now, and they're still looking for way over 100 people. I think it's even more. Um, and it destroyed a girls' camp called Camp Mystic. And when you go to Google Earth and you go to Camp Mystic, you see a dam there. And there's dams, Kerr Dam. You can see dams all over the place there. It is known. You have to control, we have the mafia, right? We have the water mafia. We know we have the water mafia in Texas. And because I lived in Texas, of course, I know um, eh, controlling water is big, big business. And they do that in California, and they do that in Arizona, they do that um, in most states, right? In New Mexico. And so, there's all this conspiracy and everything about seeding clouds and this and that. But there is uh, controlling on ground level, and through these dams and reservoirs and are, they can control the water. And to have 42 feet water surge in 1 to 3 hours is just, it's just, just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. And yet it did. And yet it did. And in my dream, I saw that the time had to be right. He was always looking at his time, this official, and I had that dream on June 16th, 2025. And he was always looking at his watch. He knew something was going to happen. He jumped in and he wanted the gush of water to swallow him up and swallow. He was happy about it. Like doors opened up and he swallowed him up. And that place that I was watching was, I just got chills when I went to Google Earth to look at the land that was flooded. I just wanted to look at what the hill country of Texas, Kerr County looked like. Where did the water flow from? Flow from Hunt, Texas down to Camp Mystic. And there's other camps there, So, and the YMCA camp had been closed down in 2021. It closed down. Makes you wonder, because I know that anybody that hires Sergeant Major Jake Jackovitz, and YMCA did, is a little sketchy to me. Okay. He shouldn't be anywhere near children. Okay. Anywhere near any kind of uh, minor. Okay. He shouldn't be near any minor, any young person at all. And YMCA hired him in a big position. So to me, they're sketchy. They're sketchy in El Paso. And I don't know if the one by Hunt had been closed down. I don't know if what they were doing with that camp. I know that in my dream there was um, a happiness that something was being washed away, and that this flood um, was aided by officials. And this is my dream. I don't know if this happened. I'm just saying in my dream that it was aided by officials or it was caused by officials. And so, and I even made an image because it was such a vivid dream. I even made an image that morning and sent it to some family members and friends that, could tell me what they thought it was. I even posted it briefly and then I took it down. I thought, people don't want to see my dreams, and I took it down. But yeah, it is very, very eerie because I just, I couldn't make it up, but it was like a warning because I think they tried to politicize this tragedy too, this flooding that has killed so many, over 100 now. And just like they did with the Walmart mass shooting, they try to put a narrative on it, spin the narrative for politics to direct the populace to where people where they want them to think, and of course away from the human tragedy in Juarez, where you find close to 1,000, seems like a close to 1,000 now of piled dead rotting bodies, that is connected to funeral homes, and they're cashing in on these, right? And that's why Richard is really worth a lot of money, way over $500,000. Uh, and then as a migrant, and some more money if you keep him unnamed in Mexico. So you can collect on him in the States as a U.S. Army soldier, as death benefits and disability benefits and all of that, especially when you're part of IDS Pueblo, when you're part of the VA, which the Hart family, had James Courtney Hart in that position to do that with other friends, right? Lilani Hart, um, she named some other friends that were in the VA, um, and of course, in this family, there's others that are in the VA. So to try to cash in on this, it's pretty despicable, y'all. And then to turn around and keep him anonymous, keep him a John Doe, and then make him like get migrant funds, for the cremation or whatever, and then just pile them up, right? And then just let them sit there, really. Uh, how can you let a body sit there for 4 years, right? And then no forensic review, right? So I believe that Richard had three different forensic reviews, of course, because he was so valuable, right? But oh, just over 1,000 family members are just raising hell now, wanting and demanding answers. And now some politicians um, that have a conscience are also demanding forensic review and identification. And also because they've been tortured, they want to know, is there a violent crime here? Have they been tortured? Then we need prosecution, right? So it's that's where the direction should be. Of course, we have Guzman. That's El Chapo's son, right? I think it's his son, yeah. Um, that made the plea deal with the U.S. authorities and the Mexican authorities that have lost all credibility because they're so cartel connected. Have are not very happy that Guzman made this plea deal um, without any Mexican authorities being there, which they have a point. I think they have a point, but at the same time, they've lost all credibility, and they are aiding and abetting um, the T organization. So what's Trump's administration supposed to do? I mean, they can't aid and abet and a T group, because then they would be committing a crime. So until Scheinbaum cleans up her act and cleans up her administration and stop being compromised and working with these um, cartel groups that have now been designated by the world as a T group. I don't think that they can. What is the Trump administration supposed to do? So, this is where Guzman made the plea deal, and he pled guilty. And this is these extradited. There was 29 of them, and it continues. And I think that this is really, really helps find Richard's remains. I think that really helps find Richard's remains. We're getting there. But between all of the demands for forensic reviews and then the cartel that have access to information, this plea deal, I think, is very, very good for Richard's case. So that is there's just so much news because of the deals that Greg Abbott was making, these intelligence and security deals with the president of Chihuahua, Mexico, which is illegal there in itself. It's just he can't do that. So those need addressing. Why he is doing that um, with the governor of Chihuahua at the time with General Kelly, right? General Kelly was working for her during that time. I think so. And he's making these security deals, or maybe that came right before April 2022, I believe it was. Um, So, but the deal itself is illegal, so that needs to be revoked. There's just a lot of layers, like onions, a lot of layers to go through to get Richard's remains and to get accountability. And so we are absolutely keep peeling and peeling it away and discover sometimes, a surprise every time. Um, and we thank you so much for your sharing of this information. And we ask you to share some more because sharing is what gets us closer to finding Richard. So thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on. And I will let you go. We'll be back tomorrow. There's so much going on in the background with the letters. I think I'm going to post some of the letters. I think I'm going to start doing that, um, and or a summary of the letters that we've been sending out. Uh, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them, and I hope that you will share them, and share this whole everything about this case that is connected to so many other cases, because this is how we're going to make El Paso a much much better place, less extra. I mean, the way they raise the property taxes there again. I mean, they're brutal there. They're just absolutely brutal. So thank you so much, everybody, and God bless you. And I will be back.